So today we're going to take a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. We're now on episode 72 of the series, and in the last episode we saw Alaska unite with Canada, forming a large Canadian state over here. I believe we also saw the brown team in Central Asia go at it as they usually do, Also saw a war in Southeast Asia, which led to the Vietnamese team getting wrecked as they kind of got jumped by two other forces they didn't expect to be jumped. Yeah. And we also saw Volga invade the anarchist team in Central Asia. So, yeah, now, that's I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, let's get started. And for the first event of this video, you could probably guess what it is, but the brown team in Central Asia is at it again. What would you guess? And this time, they're going after Tajikistan. So, brown team forces cross the border and enter into Tajik territory, and they don't get very far, or because there's kind of a lot of mountains here, like not as bad as the Himalayas, it's still pretty bad, and so it's kind of like takes a while, and the brown team is sending some special forces into here, into this front, so that you can actually get to it. After a while, the brown team finally manages to take this major city right here, and they think that's good enough bargaining chip for these guys to fall over, but nope, they're not budging, and so the brown team has to spend even more resources is just trying to get through to this, and after a while, the brown team is like, alright, you will follow my demands, mister, and they don't, and so, yeah, but they finally managed to capture these two major cities, and these guys finally budged into a peace treaty. But this war was major because it showed that the brown team has a weakness. Yes. And it's when they had to spend a lot of resources for something that's probably not even worth it. So that's something you gotta keep in mind. So let's take a look at this peace treaty. And in this peace treaty, the Tajiks kind of get off a bit easier than they thought they would, but it's still bad, but it could have been a lot worse. Brackets and could. So yeah, the brown team is gonna take these 3 batches of land, and so yeah. And if you're wondering why this war is so weird, it's because the brown team really wanted this major city. They just really wanted it, I guess. Don't question my logic. Now, not straying too far away from the Tajik War, we're actually going to be moving on over to Arabia, because after World War III, they've done a whole lot of nothing. I can tell you that much. And so they're finally gonna get off their bed and actually start doing something. And what is that, you may be asking? Well, it's invoking a war with this pink team, of course, because why wouldn't it? Arabia has a lot of interest in obtaining control of the Gulf, like, since a very long time ago, like pre-World War I, Arabia had like this area right here, and they connected, but that's not important right now. The point right now is that Arabia sees that the pink team is still trying to set up their government, considering they just broke away from Persia. And these guys, seeing opportunity, are going to declare war on this pink country to hopefully gain control of the Gulf. And so, well, they decide to do that as Arabian forces enter into the pink team, aiming to quickly and swiftly capture the capital, and this major city when we're there. And immediately, Arabia already pisses off a friendly nation, Persia. They were friendly with Arabia until this happened because Persia was really helping these guys out and advocating for these guys' existence. And so, seeing Arabia do this, that's a big ol' no-no. And with that, Persia is going to cut off all ties with Arabia, making them pretty mad. And even more, they're going to actively supply the pink Persian team. Still don't know what to call these guys. So, with Persian aid, this front for Arabia starts to heavily slow down. As Persia is still a fairly strong nation, even with the land losses. And eventually, Persia is able to make a nice counter-offensive over here, managing to retake this major city. Now Arabia now has to lock in. And after a while of this whole front being stalemated, Persia decides to officially join the war against Arabia, making Arabia very, 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 very mad. After a cruel fight in the seas, Persia manages to make a landing on Qatar, fully taking the peninsula within a peninsula. And whoops. And Persia is going all in on this front, making some very nice gains over here. But it's at the cost of this front, as Arabia is now starting to absolutely destroy pink Persia and this front over here. And actually getting to the gates of the capital city. Something good for Persia is going to happen now, as Kuwait is going to join the war, because, they see what Arabia is trying to do, and, if they aren't a big fan, to say the least. And so they march on their troops into Arabian territory, meeting up with the Persian forces, and moving in heavily on the more populated regions of Arabia, eventually capturing this major city. And with the growing front over here, this leads to Arabia pulling out a lot of troops over here, and to Persia sending in some backup troops over here, leading to a big pushback against Arabia, almost fully kicking them out of the Persian territory itself. And, to make it even worse for Persia than, it already is, Djibouti just does that and just breaks away. And Arabia can't be bothered because they got more important things to worry about. And it's not looking so good for Arabia. And after a grueling long stalemate, the Persians are able to win a massive win over here, causing the crushing defeat of morale within the Arabian military, as that defeat allows Persia to fully obtain control of the emirate, and if there's not a lot of access to your naval landing, it's just gonna kind of fall over, After a grueling long war, by the way, this war is known as the Gulf War. After a long while, a lot more sub-factions within Arabia are kind of starting to get a disdain for the government and are now thinking of breaking away. And the Arabian leader, seeing this, is going to ultimately sign a peace treaty with the Gulf powers. And, and Arabia is very nationalistic, so when the leader does this, he's just going to make the problem even worse, as now a lot of the nation are seeing him as weak. But nonetheless, let's take a look at a peace treaty. And in this peace treaty, it's going to be a little bit weird to explain, but uh, we'll get there eventually. So, for the first part of this peace treaty, Kuwait is going to take this province away from Arabia as well. But something interesting is going to happen here. As you can see, but before that, there's going to be a new Qatari state formed right here to weaken Arabia. And I'm starting to realize how weird these borders look, so I might change them. Okay, I think that looks a little bit better. But maybe I'll change it off screen. I don't think so, but maybe. Now you're probably asking, Chilean, what the heck is this? Well, these are occupied zones. Persia is going to occupy this piece of land right here. And Kuwait is going to occupy this piece of land right here. And you're probably asking yourself, why is Persia giving up land for these occupied zones? It's because Persia, in the interest of all the countries in the Gulf, Kuwait, and this new Qatari state, but they want to make this as fair as possible, and so they think that occupied zones at the Strait of the Gulf would be best for everybody, and all of the nations enter into this Gulf. So now Arabia doesn't have any control over that now. Oh, you thought this peace treaty was done? No, because Djibouti it gains their independence away from Arabia, just to weaken them even more, until they cannot control anything that goes through here. So that's cool now. So everybody can now go through the strait peacefully without worrying about this dude trying something funky. So yeah, that's about it for that. Now for the final event of this video, oh yes, this video is kind of short, sorry about that. I just did not have the energy to make a longer video this time. I'm considering I've spent all my energy on the other videos, but, for the last event of this video, we're actually going to be going over to Norway, because the growing Swedish ethnicity here is continuing to feel undervalued and unrepresented here, and it reaches a breaking point as now protests start forming in outside in the streets. It's getting to a point where Norway can't just ignore it. And so Norway is sending in cops to try and ease the protests, but it's not working, and eventually shots are fired, and the Swedish ethnicity here, the people who have decided that's their confirmation. And so, on the day of February 21st of 1998, we see the start of the Norwegian Civil War. Will Norway's long-lasting empire and powerful nation fall just like how their ancestors did all that time ago? Oh, well, that's what we'll find out in the next episode, episode 73, the Norwegian Civil War. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of What If Civilization Started Over. Please leave a like and subscribe, smash the notification bell, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, share this video, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye.